today. We are excited to explore more about the Columbia Metropolitan Airport and all the fun and exciting things happening there. Today we have Kim Jamison with us and Mike Gula. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay, great. And so we're so excited to have y'all with us, and we'll just jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to start with a little bit of history, and if y'all ever say like I don't know, that's totally cool too, because
he definitely doesn't know.
Yeah, I just make stuff up, to be completely honest. But wasn't part of the airport, there's some sort of military history to it as well? Is that correct? Like I know some National Guard stuff going on out there. There's a big helicopter.
Yeah, there's a lot of history to that. Mainly it was the Doolittle Raiders.
Ah, that's right.
That's where they trained.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's right. I see the little sign every time I drive by there, right? The Doolittle Raiders. So the other thing I learned recently, and I don't know if I learned this, I don't know if it's actually true. Somebody told me that CAE is part of like an international airport. Is there some international parts to that, or is that completely wrong?
So we're not named an international airport, but we do have international cargo that flies in and out of there. We do have U.S. Customs and Border Protection there. We can take general aviation flights that are international as long as they're not more than 30 people, and they can, process them through.
So is that part of the National Advocacy Center? Is that why it became a little bit of the international part? Did I hear that wrong as well?
I would love for you just to tell him he's wrong. I would like for you to be like, no, that is not right.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
My therapist is a liar. She's the one that told me about it. She told me about this a couple years ago. I'm going to go punch Dr. Holland. I'm coming after you.
We want people to know, too, you can get anywhere in the world from Columbia Metropolitan Airport as well. It may take a couple additional stops, but I will say I had a friend in December look to go to London, and he looked at flights between Charlotte and CAE, and we were like $200 less expensive. So you got to check it out.
Yeah. So how many direct flights do you guys have from the airport?
So currently we have 8 nonstops to 9 cities. So that's Washington, Reagan, and Dulles. Those are the two, or I'm sorry, to 9 airports.
Gotcha.
And so we're always working with airlines to try to increase that. We want to be able for our local citizens who are here to be able to have more options to fly. But that's kind of, the big thing of ensuring if you're flying, the more people fly, the more eyes are on.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we want to ask the community, please check us first.
Yeah.
We understand if there's a huge difference between us and Charlotte.
Sure.
We get it, especially if you're flying with family and you want a direct flight.
Yeah.
But one thing that I tell out in the community is, look, if it's not Columbia Metropolitan Airport, check GSP.
Right.
Check Charleston.
Yeah.
Let's keep our dollars here in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, a little bit more local. Because I'll be honest, I travel quite frequently, and it's direct to Dallas or Chicago or actually Washington. I always get the wrong airport, so I'll come out of Dulles thinking I'm at Reagan, going, man, it's going to be a long Uber ride into the city. Very expensive mistakes I've done more than once. But yeah, why do you feel like CAE's oftentimes I find cheaper than even driving to Charlotte and then flying out? Is there a reason for that, or is just they just give us good deals for being locals?
Well, really what happens, and this is all based on capacity, and the more the people within our community fly out of our airport, the more destinations we get, the larger aircraft that we get, and that's really what we're trying to preach to the community right now.
Yeah. There's
a lot of talk about why doesn't CAE have a low-cost carrier, and that's a tough one because they're very difficult to get.
Sure.
But 2, they've been here. Yeah. Spirit's been here and Allegiant's been here. And whether it was a failure on the airport side from a marketing standpoint back then, I don't know.
Right.
Or if it just wasn't the community supporting them.
Yeah.
So that's something that we were hitting really hard right before this whole COVID pandemic hit, working with one carrier in particular. But hopefully, as things start to come back around, we'll get a low-cost carrier in.
One thing I always found is the low-cost carriers typically have like a weird schedule. Like you leave on a Sunday, but you have to come back on a Wednesday, and it never really jived with if you're going to Orlando or something like that for me. So I don't personally look at low-cost carriers. I'm kind of bougie like that. I like the American and the Deltas because I know they're always traveling. So, but yeah, I understand that too.
But it sounds like in the community, when we're hearing people complain about the lack of direct flights or the lack of, options in terms of low cost carriers, what we should be telling them is, well, then use our airport more, right?
Yeah, you're correct.
Exactly.
So let's keep on that theme because I want to give them a chance to kind of talk through this. Like the other things you've heard about CAE that are maybe not true are the complaints. Like parking, right?
Give us all the complaints.
Okay.
We're used to it.
We got all your problems today.
Is the parking, right? People complain that it's more expensive than Charlotte or somewhere else, which could be, but you also got to go to Charlotte. So it's kind of a toss up. But in y'all's kind of research and stuff like that, how do y'all think you fare in pricing compared to anywhere else?
I mean, outside of the business valet at Charlotte,
Yeah.
we're cheaper than everybody else within our state and Charlotte.
Gotcha.
So it's, it's a complaint that we're probably still going to get, into the future.
Sure.
But to be honest, just so everybody knows, I mean, when our parking garage was built in 2004, our rates have not adjusted.
Yeah.
They're still the same. So I think there's, maybe there's some theory out there that at that time in 2004, maybe it was priced too high.
Yeah.
But it's stayed there. I mean, we have not adjusted rates. So.
Well, I like your parking lot because it'll tell me what floor I can go to. Because if not, you're like trolling every single lane, and it's like, hey, go to the top floor because everything's booked on the first floor or whatever.
So while we're talking parking, right before the COVID pandemic hit us, we were in the process of putting in what's called a parking guidance system. So now when you come into that second level, the covered level of the garage, you're going to see red and green LEDs all the way down through.
Oh, cool.
So you're going to know whether or not there's a spot. So you're not doing exactly what you were saying, Brad.
That's
Zigzagging
awesome.
through there for 20 minutes trying to find your way.
Yeah. And I did
Park
like
with
what y'all did
ease.
right before. Yeah, right. I saw those at Disney. Those are like godsends. They're
big.
Disney. But I will say, right before the pandemic, I noticed y'all did some renovations. At least I haven't flown since everything kind of shut down. But like the main corridor going in, there's a coffee shop right there with like good coffee when it comes out. Like this, y'all have been doing some construction over there, which
Yeah, we have. What we're wrapping up right now is a mechanical phase project.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be 2 phases. We're wrapping up phase 4. Once we started digging into everything and turning new machines on,
Right.
we realized we had some deeper issues than we were aware of. So that's really eaten up most of our federal funding for the last several years. One thing you will notice, it'll probably start late fall, if not first of the next year, as you're at the airline ticket counters and you've got the big gray CTX machines where
Right.
TSA's at, you won't see that anymore.
Oh,
That's
cool.
all going behind the scenes.
Oh, very cool.
So that'll be about a 2.5 to 3 year project to get through that. It's going to be a phasing nightmare. I'm not going to lie.
But it's how are you going to do that?
Pack your patience.
It's going to look a lot different in a couple years.
Well, and I heard y'all just got some new funding from the federal government. I read it in the Midlands Biz Journal or something like that.
So we did, as part of the CARES Act, we ended up receiving $8.8 million.
Good.
And it's really wide open as to what we can use that money for, as long as it's ethical
Everybody
and legal.
gets a ticket to Disney World?
Yeah. So it's right now we're just kind of setting that money aside in the bank
Sure.
because we just don't know what's going to happen if there ends up being another second wave.
Yeah.
Really what we're trying to leave that for is to protect our employees,
Sure.
protect their salaries, protect their benefits,
Yeah.
and have it for support into the future.
How have y'all, now that we're going into the COVID discussion, like what implementations, gracious, have y'all put in place to, like with COVID, like screens, or is there social distancing, of course, but like what are y'all doing to make people feel at ease?
We've done a lot. And I feel like one thing I'll have to say with my leadership, we have really been following closely the CDC guidelines, state and local guidelines, and have really been changing almost week by week there for a bit, just following everything that's been coming out and ensuring that the entire airport is adhering to these so that our people who were traveling through this felt safe, and now as people begin to travel more, they feel very safe. But we have put in there are plexiglass shields at all of our ticket counters. When you go through TSA screening, there's also ticket plexiglass there. We have been able to provide free masks to all travelers, so they're at TSA as well as the information desk. There are a lot of markers throughout the airport of ensuring that people remember 6 feet of distance. So we are just constantly kind of doing those types of things visually, but also too, the team at CAE has been ramping up the cleaning efforts as well. So the things that were cleaned every 2 hours or 3 hours are cleaned every hour on the hour to ensure that people feel safe, but also see that we are really doing everything we can to ensure that people not only fly locally, but fly safe.
Yeah.
Too.
I was just in the airport on Saturday, and I felt like with my family, with children, and I thought it was super clean. I felt super safe. I felt like everybody was being respectful of, social distancing. So good job.
Yeah.
And one thing that I did probably a little bit different than my counterparts during this pandemic is we actually hired on some additional folks within our terminal support group to really be visible.
Sure.
I mean, make people, like you're saying, feel safe that we're doing everything we can on our end.
Yeah. It's always, I mean, the airport's always pristine, by the way. Like, that is my go-to. I don't want to fly to Charlotte to fly out. Like, this is the place I fly out of. And so I can only imagine how clean it is now since you've had to ramp up all of that stuff. And I don't know if a lot of people understand how airports make their money, right? Like, but what are the two main ways, I cannot talk today, that airports make their income? Is it all the barbecue sandwiches? Is that where it comes from?
No, I wish, but no. That's our number one revenue generator is obviously our airlines, and with the airlines comes our number two, which is our parking. But then we make money off of our concessionaires. We get landing fees from the airlines. So there's a whole host of different revenue streams that we have, and that's one thing that we've really been working diligently on over the last probably 2 to 3 years, is making sure we have those other sources of revenue. Out there at the airport. So I've been there 7 years now, and there's a lot of property out there undeveloped. And if you go through our campus today, you're going to see that we've teamed up with Magnus Development Partners, and they're helping us really formulate a plan for what we do with those properties.
Yeah, I saw some for sale signs actually. I forget what road I was going down by the airport. It wasn't quite the main roads, but I saw some for sale signs, or it said like part of CAE complex or something.
Yeah, we've got several parcels that are up for sale. NAI's, they're brokering it for us. So they've been a great partner as well.
Yeah, they're a great company.
We're just trying to figure out, I mean, I feel like Columbia is going to get their day.
Yeah.
Greenville's had theirs, Charleston's had theirs, Myrtle Beach has always had theirs.
Right.
It's our turn.
Well, I like our airport. No, I mean, I like Greenville as well. We have an office in Greenville, but it's not like there's some airports I've been to. It feels like a Walmart with like a terminal on it, right? Like and that's not like Columbia is like nice and classy, and it's just well done. So I really do appreciate that.
So what would you say, in your opinion, is I guess our airport's little gem, or like what makes our airport special in your opinion?
I think just like the quaintness of our airport. I think we're small but mighty. I feel like that people feel like they can easily navigate our airport. I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot, and there have been some airports that you can get kind of turned around really quickly. And I think that it's just a quaint, cute airport, and we are adding things daily to enhance that. And so I think it's just a special little place for Columbia.
And during the whole pandemic that we've been going through, obviously, the one thing we've been able to do is really take a step back and figure out what our weaknesses are and where we can improve. So that's something that we've spent a lot of time over the last couple months working through.
Yeah,
I think it's a very friendly airport too. I've been in some airports, small and large, and the staff they're not friendly, they're not helpful, it's cold, and that couldn't be further from the truth for the Columbia Airport, I think.
You touch on something, and Mike can elaborate on this, but the team there is really a family. It really, really is. And I think that that's just speaks volumes to then the work that we produce and put out there, and how we care about being in the airport and being on the airport's team. But you want to talk about how during COVID at the beginning of this, we really all kind of pitched in and helped out around the airport.
Yeah, so when this first kicked off in April, I guess it would have been end of March, early April, I was stuck in the position of, do I have to start eliminating staff from my team? So what I asked the team to do is, let's all come together. Let's figure out what projects that we were normally had scheduled to contract out, and what can we do in-house. So for about 2 to 3 weeks, I mean, you drive by, the main entrance up there, and we're all out there with paintbrushes, painting curbs, painting bollards.
That sounds familiar. We did the same thing.
And then we had a facility that's become vacant, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with it. Originally, we were going to tear it down, but it's got some FAA cables that come through it, so it's got to remain. And it was going to cost us about $50,000 to $60,000 to come in and gut the place.
Wow.
So we took a team down there for about 2 days of just demolition. So it's pretty cool.
Get your COVID stress out.
Yeah, I mean, it helped us all really come together, and it helped the morale, during a tough time.
Sure.
So it's
absolutely
pretty cool.
No, that is awesome. When this was going on, we thought we were going to be locked down. I was like, well, if we want a job, I went and bought 15 gallons of paint. I was like, let's start painting. So I got about halfway through the office, and then I've stopped. But so, moving on, just like some more lightheartedness, I guess, before we do that though, but the flights are down, I mean, substantially right now.
Yeah, and they're down for every airport throughout, definitely throughout the nation, but the world as well.
Are you seeing any uptick slowly month over month?
We saw some uptick in June and July. Right now, I think things are starting to plateau, now with kids being able to go back to school, and I think a lot of the leisure travel's over. I think people were very anxious to get out and see their families. Once this kind of smoothed itself over a little bit.
Sure.
But I think now for the next several months, I think we're going to pretty much plateau. So we're down, as we sit here today, we're down 55.8% year over year.
Yeah.
Would you say that's a trend for all airports right now, though? Yeah.
At least within the state of South Carolina, because those are the ones that I track.
Sure. I would guess, though, I mean, if kids don't go back to school in the fall, which obviously Richland 1 and 2 are not quite going back, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to travel. If my kids can work remote, like do school remote, if I could work remote, so I don't know. Maybe we'll see some people pick up some airlines.
It's just, again, it's a weird time because, a lot of people have lost their jobs or been furloughed and, did they want to spend that money on a elaborate vacation? I don't know.
That's a good point. I got a random question, but like, how bored do you think your firefighters are? Like those guys, I'm out where guys and gals, like I always see the truck out there. Seriously.
I saw that question and I was like, please don't ask that question.
I mean, I'm sure you're glad they're bored, right? But like, I mean, I'm sure they're training a lot too, but I'm always like, man, are they like really good at like crocheting over there? Like, what are they doing all day?
So one thing that's unique about our airport is we call it our public safety department.
Right.
So they're certified police and fire.
Oh, wow.
So they take shifts. You may be a police officer for the first half of your shift and you may be a firefighter for the second half.
Huh. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. It's really neat.
You learned something today.
Yeah, I didn't make it up this time, right?
And the entire airport, including public safety, also pitched in on that. So even in those downtimes, we all, had something to do, and we weren't just twiddling our thumbs. We were making that airport even better than what it is. So
because what's crazy about it is right before the pandemic hit, we ended up losing our landscape contractor. So a lot of the public safety guys, they're out there on mowers and weed eating. So we were getting a lot done.
That's awesome. Nice. And then the other question I have is, how big of a pain is luggage? I know y'all aren't the airlines. I get that. But like, do y'all ever get like the nasty grams? Like, I lost my luggage. Y'all need to figure this out.
I get a lot of the complaints. So the marketing department handles all of those. Not so much nasty grams, but just like I've left my sunglasses, I left my computer, I left my ID. So we get those and we just try to help facilitate it. Right. It does stink because we are not the airlines. Right. So it's like, I can give you the numbers to these airlines and let's just all cross our fingers and pray that someone answers and someone answers this email. But we do our best to help wherever we can. Sometimes, most times it works out. Sometimes I'm sorry if we can't find that teddy bear. We'll have to get you another one.
Well, I'm curious. I know COVID aside, I guess answer it however you want, but where do you see our airport in like the next 5 years?
Well, everything that we're seeing right now industry wide, it looks like it's going to be a 3-year recovery to get us back to where we were in 2019. I'm crossing my fingers and I'm optimistic. I think what you're going to find come October are the airlines that had marginal routes probably won't be bringing them back.
Sure.
They're consolidating on their end too. So I just want to get to that 3-year mark and then I'll answer your question at another time.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I appreciate y'all sharing with us today and everything else. Is there anything we didn't hit on or things that you want people to know about Columbia Metropolitan that we have not shared or they need to know?
Well, I'll just say this really quickly because it's the marketing department effort, but we just launched our newsletter today.
Oh, cool.
And so I think one thing that the community can do is always just continuously support, may it be following or subscribing to our newsletter or signing up for that, but also to like following us, being an advocate for us is also really, really helpful. I think when it's not helpful to be like down on anyone in Columbia or any group of that's really, really trying to make our name for ourselves here in the Columbia region, but also being like, a help to the region. So supporting us, looking at us is always a huge, huge thing. So check us out first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to reiterate that because like CAE is the jewel of Columbia. I mean, we want to be the big city, right? We are our largest city, but Columbia and always gets overshadowed by Greenville and Charleston when people at least want to buy houses. They're like, I might want to go to Charleston or Greenville or Columbia. And we're like, all right, well, let us know when you decide, because usually Columbia doesn't make the first cut. But then they see the traffic and everything else and like, Columbia's not that bad, and we'd love to sell them the houses, but we need a strong airport to bring in those dollars, to bring in people that can travel. We have clients that they have to go back up north 2-3 times a week or did, and they need a good airport to fly in and out of. And you can actually actually do that from Columbia. So I think it's very important, not just like a support local thing, but it really is a support local thing. I mean, this is our money and our people, and we got to support where it's at. And I think it's, a lot of people don't know how great CAE is.
And I think, we've changed a lot out there. And one thing that we did last year, and I'll let Kim touch on this a little more than she knows a lot more about it than I do, but we went through not a rebrand, but more of a refresh.
Sure.
New logo, new marketing materials.
It was awesome. I feel like that Columbia Metropolitan Airport had a look and feel that really worked well for a number of years, but we had just been seeing such momentum over 2017, 2018, 2019. It's just all this great momentum, and it was a perfect time to refresh our brand and reiterate the fact that we are here, we are your hometown airport, and we need your support, and we would love your support. And so we did a ton of work on refreshing our brand, and we have a new look and feel. When you drive out there, you'll see our new sign. Every time I go to work, I just get so excited to see it. I'm a proud mama bear about that. It's just really, really exciting. But we have a whole new look and feel, and it's because we are a whole new airport, and we're here to serve.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And I just want to encourage everybody to use our great airport so that we can continue to see the great things that you guys are doing and get more flights and more options and just grow our little airport while we grow our great city.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. And you can click on our link below to follow us and get more information from the Art of Real Estate.